Puerto Rico has been stripped of so much in the wake of Hurricane Maria, but what is flourishing here is the church. The story of the isolated mountain village of Comerío tells it all. George Santiago grew up here, but left for more opportunity in the States. Last summer, however, God called him back to start a church in his hometown. At first, nothing seemed to be happening.
When we came here in July 2017, we didn't have a chance to open the Bible and preach the gospel to the people.
But just 2 months later, Hurricane Maria turned this pretty mountain stream into a raging river, and the people of Comerío were paralyzed, their town in shambles and their access to food and water gone.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was destruction everywhere.
Santiago quickly sprang into action, using his Southern Baptist denomination to find resources like food, water, and even washing machines so people could wash their clothes. These acts of service, he says, became his way back into the community and his path to sharing the gospel.
People were just blown out and were asking all the time, what are you guys doing there?
Since the storm, at least 50 people have come to Christ in Comerío, and Santiago has started what he calls a baby church for the new believers.
He placed us in Puerto Rico in the right moment, the perfect moment for one church to, give birth.
And Santiago is not alone. Carlos Rodriguez oversees church planting on the island for the Southern Baptists and says Maria has paved the way for enormous spiritual growth.
If you ask any pastor across Puerto Rico, crossing denominations, no one will say that Hurricane Maria was a bad thing in a way. In the human perspective, of course. Still, we have a lot of people without power, limited situations. But from the spiritual perspective, everyone said, no, it was a blessing.
Southern Baptists see a unique opportunity right now. They're planting 3 new churches this year ahead of schedule, and they're pouring hundreds of volunteers and resources into the territory in the hopes of winning more for Christ. Pastor Farlin Reynosa is working with mission teams from the States and watching people come to the Lord.
I mean, this is actually bringing a revival to the island. Just by helping people put a tent or just cutting the trees, just stuff that it's simple probably for many of us, but for them means a lot.
In San Juan, Maria damaged Pastor Gabriel Prada's church, but that didn't stop church members from distributing food and water right after the storm.
We converted the church into a distribution center, and we made sure that it went out as quickly as possible.
Even 6 months later, Prada sees Maria as a huge opportunity for the church. But he's also up against some tough realities, as are other churches. More than 100,000 Puerto Ricans have left the island since Maria. His church has lost people and offerings. But Rodriguez says that believers must see even the migration as an opportunity for the gospel. He's telling churches with members that leave for the States, send them as missionaries.
Now, don't say that it's a loss. No, it's a gain always. Teach those people, if Lord is moving you to the U.S., to the mainland, any state, you have to be connected with the church. You have to be their light. You're going to be a missionary there.
Churches are also acutely aware of severe mental health needs right now. Surviving the storm and its aftermath has led to widespread depression for many and a spike in suicide attempts. But in the midst of such suffering, believers are seeing a hunger for the gospel, an acknowledgement that business as usual just won't work.
I think it's going to be an exponential explosion of many new churches and many people following God's calling to pastor churches, to be that evangelist that God wants us to be. I think Puerto Rico is going to be a main focus point in the Caribbean to keep sharing the gospel even more.
Last month, Pastor George baptized 10 new believers, and he keeps this display of locks with the keys thrown away as a reminder of new souls that cannot be separated from the love of Christ.
We are experiencing a revival. literally a revival. We see people desiring and hungry of hope.
From that perspective, it's a moment of hope in Puerto Rico right now, because as the island is rebuilding physically, it's also rebuilding spiritually. Reporting in Puerto Rico, Heather Sells, CBN News.